Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Adam at Ship, my money share, as we get ready for Tuesday, August 6th, 14-game slate. Adam, I had people telling me last week that I put the wrong file in. They didn't listen very long because it was the right file, and I didn't say anything about the date. But I'm saying the date going forward, I think, so people don't get confused and listen to the whole podcast. It's better that way. It's better that way. But yeah, I did a solo one last night. Everybody was traveling. I got some travel coming up this weekend, so it was a match made in heaven. It was a large slate, as you well know. You got to talk about it twice. But it's been fun thus far. We, of course, are recording this on Monday night, and we are brought to you by one Yahoo Fantasy. Check out the Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. Third paragraph will be the link and instructions on how to sign up for a Yahoo deposit bonus with your initial deposit for up to $30 in YSRPs. Best thing about Yahoo, 10 entry max. The no management fee free contest, which is up right now for Tuesday. It is 1,500 people again. 4,500 in, 4,500 out. No management fees, 10 entry max. It's the way to go. With that, Adam, let's get into our games. We will be going game by game. We should have a few pitchers that we might like on this one. We also have quite a few, or not quite a few, we have a handful of pitchers that have not yet been announced because we've got 28 teams in action, including several of those that like to use openers. But starting off with our first game, 7:05. This is Milwaukee in Pittsburgh. You have Chase Anderson at 6,000 on DraftKings going against Steven Brault, 4,800, Adam. Lefty against a lot of righties there on Milwaukee. He's 4,800. Let's start with Brault. Any interest at all? Because he sure can give up those home runs.
I mean, the only real interest is just because he's 4,800. I could see getting him in some tournament lineups, but nothing too appealing there. 16.5% strikeout percentage against right-handed pitching or right-handed hitting. So not the best spot.
Oh, I'm all in. If the dog thinks it's time, then I think it's time. This works on other podcasts, except for when it doesn't work, Adam. What is the dog's name? Just so we have this for reference.
Bandit and Blake.
Bandit and Blake. There we are. All right. So no real love there for Brault. How about Chase Anderson?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a cheap price tag. It's right now a pretty low 4.4 implied run total for the Pirates. Favorable park for pitchers, but not a good strikeout matchup. One thing working in Anderson's favor is that he's been reverse splits for basically his entire career. And Pittsburgh, the top of Pittsburgh's lineup at least, is probably going to be lefty heavy with Frazier, Brian Reynolds, Josh Bell, Cabrera, and Moran all hitting left-handed and all probably in the top six. So, that's appealing against lefties this year. Anderson struck out 22.3%, but he's held them to a 251 expected WOBA and a .079 expected ISO, which are obviously really, really good numbers. So not a ton of strikeout upside, but I think that the price tag on Anderson at $6K is cheap enough where I have some interest.
All right, and this is one of the games you'll want to keep an eye on the weather. We, of course, are 20 hours out from first pitch, but it's going to be about 80 degrees, about 60 to 65% humidity, and there's about a 20 to 25 chance of showers in the area. That is showers, not rain. But that means if they're over the stadium, that could cause us a little bit of a hiccup. We probably won't be rolling with these pitchers unless we're being different in tournaments, but it could affect things, so just keep an eye on that. Our next game, Adam, we have the Baltimore Orioles. It looks like they are going to go potentially with Chad Green as the opener. I say potentially because Nestor Cortez is the listed PLR. He did pitch on, Saturday in that doubleheader, but he did only go 44 pitches, so he had Sunday off. Yeah, I think he'd still be good for 40 pitches or so. We don't want to play either of these guys, but it does give us a little bit of an indication as to who the Baltimore batters will be facing. And then we have Adrian Wojciechowski on the other side. Is it me?
What'd you say?
Wait, who? Asher Wojciechowski.
Yeah,
damn it. Adrian is the... God, now I did it. I've watched Laffy do it multiple times, and I've laughed at him. But now all of a sudden, I'm the one doing it. It's like, wait, this doesn't sound right. There's going to be people laughing at my expense. Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry. Asher Wojciechowski disappointed us a little bit in his last start, but the Cinderella run couldn't last forever. He still wasn't completely horrible. Did get 5 strikeouts. The 2 home runs he allowed kind of got to him. The 3 walks, which is more than he has allowed in his last 5 appearances combined, or equal to, made that one a little tough against Toronto. I don't think either one of us want to tangle with the Bronx Bombers here, but do you want to go with the understudies, which I guess is what we kind of have to call the Yankees now that so many people are on the DL again?
I kind of have interest in Wojciechowski still. He's only 6,600 on DraftKings. He's going to most likely face a right-handed heavy lineup. The Yankees' projected lineup has 6 righties in it. They're banged up, like you said. Half the team basically is on the injured list. And, Wojciechowski didn't come through against Toronto, but that start kind of it made me kind of optimistic about him because he really didn't look good against Toronto as far as command and control goes. Just wasn't putting the ball where he wanted it, but still, put together a decent start. Like, if that's what he's going to look like when he's bad, I think that's actually kind of reason for optimism. We know that the strikeout stuff can be electric, looking at his numbers against the Angels, the Red Sox, and the Nats in his 3 starts prior to Toronto. I expect that his ownership will be very low because the Yankees still are a good lineup. Certainly not a play that I have a ton of confidence in, but I am somewhat interested in tournaments.
All right, and then just quickly hitting on some of the guys people may not realize that are injured for the Yankees. Edwin Encarnacion fractured his right wrist over the weekend. Aaron Hicks on Saturday night, the second game of the doubleheader, hurt his throwing elbow, trying to make a toss in from the outfield. Gary Sanchez is eligible to come off the DL, but he's still working through baseball activities. He's dealing with a groin injury, could be another 5 to 7 days out. Luke Voigt has a sports hernia, and then no timetable for Giancarlo Stanton from that standpoint. And those are just the recent guys, plus all the other ones that have been out for a while, like Ellsbury and Andy Har and et cetera, et cetera. So tough time to be a Yankees fan because you don't get the all-star lineup. You only get the lineup that's better than 2/3 of the rest of the league. All right, yeah, whatever. Yankees, go for it. Speaking of the other team that spends a ton of money and is good, Boston. We have Andrew Cashner. Can we go to him against the Kansas City Royals? Since abandoning the Baltimore Orioles, Andrew Cashner not been that great, Adam. His pitch count is there, but he's given up 9 earned runs in his last 2 appearances. No home runs, 5 walks in his last outing, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts in the outing before then. So if you add those all up together, it's a whole lot of meh. But so is this opponent because Kansas City is missing some of their key batters, and we're really only scared with the top 4 in their lineup. That's Whit Merrifield, Hunter Dozier, Jorge Soler. Alex Gordon will fit in there somewhere, and then depending on how you feel about Cheslor Cuthbert, he is in the mix as well. What do you want to do with Andrew Cashner? 5,800. This game is in Boston, 80 degrees, 65% humidity, 15% chance of showers.
It's kind of similar to the Rick Porcello spot yesterday. Cashner is just not a good pitcher, but the matchup against Kansas City is favorable. Once you get past the Merrifield, Gordon, Dozier, Soler part of the order, it just drops off to a bunch of really bad hitters that strike out a lot. So on one hand, I think that Hunter Dozier and Jorge Soler in particular are great tournament options because Cashner has struggled with right-handed power, and they both have a ton of it. But beyond that, it's just a pretty weak lineup, and it's an appealing price point for Cashner. So it's not a play that I'm excited about, but certainly can get to him across 150 lineups.
Yeah, and just for those of you that don't have the box score handy, Rick Porcello did manage to go 6 innings, gave up 1 solo home run, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 6 total base runners against Kansas City. I keep wanting to call them Cincinnati. Goodness gracious. Let's continue along here. Oh, I'm sorry. Jake Junis, 6,900 against Boston. I am obligated to point out that price tag.
Yeah, no interest.
Okay, there we go. It's still nice, but nonetheless, no interest. All right, time for some fun now. We've got a game in Cleveland, 80 degrees, 60% humidity, 25% chance of showers. I'm calling out the chance of showers because we had people getting a little salty the other day that we weren't doing it. I don't worry about it unless it's going to be 50% or greater, or you start to see yellow or orange or red on the various sites that you like to look at. Usually if I see anything more than yellow, I am going and looking at weather.com weather in motion just to see what's going to happen, but I don't see any really trouble spots. But I do want to just throw that out there because things can change 24 hours in advance. But that's why we have the DFS strategy show at 9:30 on weekday mornings. We've got the deep dive article coming out in the afternoon. We've got the deeper dive show at 5 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock live before lock. So we have you covered, plenty of updates. So what we're hearing on the early bird, just something to keep an eye on. But you know what? You're going to change your lineup, especially when people do not make the lineup that are in your lineup. Texas, Cleveland, I still got to talk about it. These pitchers haven't changed, Adam. Zach Plesac, 7,700 going against Texas. 4.5 implied run total there for Texas. We like Texas when they can go against righties. They do have Danny Santana, Nomar Mazara, Orugned Odor, Willie Calhoun, Shin-Soo Choo that are all good from the left side of the plate. Hat tip to Joey Gallo. Wish you were still healthy. What do you want to do with Plesac here? He's been up and down. He has not been dominant, but he has not been horrible considering he's basically a rookie at this point. Thoughts on him? 7,700 as your SP2.
Mild interest, I guess. He really hasn't been great in the majors. He's made 12 starts now. He's gone 66 innings. He has only struck out 17.6% of hitters, while he's walked 9.4%. That's much, much worse than the numbers that he was putting up in the minor leagues. At AAA in 4 starts, he had a 30.7% strikeout percentage. At AA, he had a 24.8% strikeout percentage, but his walk percentage was 4.4% at AA, 3% at AAA. So really disappointing so far for Plesac. And he's facing a Texas team that, while they are missing Joey Gallo, they do have plenty of left-handed power with Choo, Santana, Mazara, Calhoun, Odor, all powerful bats that, if he's going to pitch to contact, can do some damage. So the price tag is just a little bit more expensive than I would like. I think that he's a better pitcher than guys like Andrew Cashner, but I think that it's difficult to justify spending $2,000 more for Plesac than for the guys in that like Chase Anderson, Andrew Cashner range.
All right. Ariel Hirado on the other side. I really don't want any part of him. He's 4,400, but Cleveland does have a 6.1 implied run total at this point. I just wanted to see how many home runs Hirado has actually given up, because I never think of him as giving up home runs, and he actually doesn't. He gives up some, but not a ton. 19 over 140 innings, which would, at this, if you project that out to about 200 innings, saying he was going to make 30 starts or whatever, you'd end up with about, 25 or so home runs, 26 maybe. So that's not horrible like some of the other guys are, but he does allow a ton of base runners. He does allow a lot of guys to score because he gives up a lot of contact. It just does not really seem to be fly balls, even though he is not really ground ball dominant. 46% ground ball rate, 30% fly ball rate, 23% line drive rate, which, not great, but it's kind of interesting to see the lowish fly ball and lowish ground ball, considering what he does there, Adam. With regards to the strikeout, this is where it gets really, really bad. 12% against lefties, 15% against righties since the beginning of last season. Doesn't walk a lot of players or a lot of hitters, but 5.1 xFIP, just career number 4, number 5 starter, innings eater, and good God, he's only 23, and that's our assessment already. I think where I'm going with this is, would you consider Cleveland as one of your stacks? There will have some attention to them with that 6.1 implied run total, and they have their great lefties, but they've also acquired Franmil Reyes and Yasiel Puig, so we have a lot of differentiation potential here within their stacks, because it's not like you have a cheap Jason Kipnis batting cleanup anymore that everybody's going to have. So there are ways to mix and match. How do you feel about that particular strategy approach against Hirado?
Yeah, I like Cleveland stacks here. The addition of Puig and Reyes just made this lineup a lot deeper, and it spreads out the ownership more, as you were saying. I haven't been stacking Cleveland a lot this season because it was like, even when they were in good spots, you were just getting a top value in guys like Lindor and Kipnis and Ramirez, to where everyone had the same Cleveland stacks. But now everything's spread out a little bit more, so you're getting lower ownership. And then also, Hirado struggles with right-handed power in particular. He's allowed a 225 ISO, 208 expected ISO to righties. So the addition of Puig and Reyes really is big here, because both of those guys have tons of power from the right side. They both stand out as really good one-offs or as key parts of Cleveland stacks.
All right, moving along here. I feel like I missed the game. No, looks like we're Oh, that's why it is. So there's a doubleheader. There's the 1 o'clock game. It's the White Sox in Detroit. They also are on the main slate at 7 o'clock. They have. It looks like the early game is going to be Dylan Cease and Daniel Norris. It looks like the second game, which we will be concerned about on the main slate, will be Hector Santiago and Drew Verhagen. That game has a 10.5 implied run total. It's going to be 80 degrees at first pitch, 25 to 30% chance of, again, scattered showers, 65% humidity. Yikes. Two not so great offenses, but they're each carrying a 5 or higher implied run total here, Adam. I don't think we want to go to the pitchers. I think we might be interested in the hitters. We'll save the hitters for the other shows, but what do you think about Santiago at 6,700 or Drew Verhagen at 5,200 as an SP2 in tournaments on DraftKings?
I mean, again, just not confident in either pitcher. The White Sox right now have a 5.4 implied run total. Detroit's at 5.2. Drew Verhagen isn't the worst pitcher ever, and the White Sox, do have plenty of strikeouts in their lineup. They also don't have Yohan Moncada right now, so they're missing one of their best bats. Verhagen at AAA this year made 11 starts through 53 innings, struck out 21.9% of hitters, walked 5.6%. For his career in the majors, he has a 17.4% strikeout percentage, 9.9% walk percentage, 4.97 fifth. He's certainly not good. If he ends up in a few lineups, that's fine, but it's certainly not a ringing endorsement or anything like that. As far as Santiago goes, not sure how stretched out he is. I'm trying to pull up now and see what's been going on with him. He hasn't pitched in the majors since June 14th.
I've got it up if you don't. He's gone. Oh, yeah, he's stretched out. So July 31st, 91, July 26th, 91, July 19th, 101, and then July 14th, 94. So conceivably he could go full game. However, he has just been awful down there in He's been at AAA Charlotte. He has a 5.8 implied or 5.8 earned run, 1.45 whip. Surprisingly, he does have 8 strikeouts per 9, but that is at AAA. Yikes.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Don't think I'll be getting much of it.
Yeah, and then he also had some time there. He's been at 2 different AAAs, but that's his. So he's with the Mets. He pitched better in AAA for them this season, but not enough to make a difference. Plus,
which is weird because that's in the PCL too.
Yeah, and then but this is no, he played for Syracuse, so that's in the the International League.
The Mets, they changed their AAA team?
Yeah.
So I know that they used to be Vegas.
This one's Syracuse.
So. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, yikes. I hadn't even realized he was in the league. He wasn't till now. But there we are. So, not much to see there. Let me get back to our master list here as we continue along. The Reds, the Angels. This one has a realistic 50% chance of showers. So we will want to keep tabs on this one. Again, it's scattered showers, but there is heavier coverage. It's going to be 80 degrees at first pitch in Cincinnati. It's going to be humid as heck, about 70% humidity. Again, with that chance of rain, we've got Anthony Desclafani. We'll have to face a few lefties from the Angels, but not a ton outside of really Cole Calhoun and Matt Tice. But on the other side, they've got Jose Suarez, who's not very exciting, and he will be facing a whole host of righties. That's not boding well for him. Looks like kind of a stay away here, Adam. 5.5 implied total for the Reds. I guess I'd want to be on that side. 4.6 for the Angels. Of course, one-offs of Trout or Calhoun are always in play. This one, I'm not inspired by it. What's your read here from this once every 4 years series between the Reds and Angels?
I mean, the park isn't favorable for pitching. It's a tough matchup for both guys. I'm kind of interested in the pricing. Jose Suarez is a top 100 prospect. He has struck out 23% of hitters so far in the majors, 22.5% at AAA, but not a ton of strikeouts in the Reds lineup, and they do have a lot of right-handed power. In particular, Suarez and Aquino have power. Senzel has power. Peraza and Iglesias are difficult to strike out. So pretty scary spot for Suarez. And then on the other side with Desclafani, no Shohei Ohtani is a huge bump for him. The Angels lineup right now does have more strikeouts in it than it has for most of the year. When you replace basically you're replacing Simmons with Renifo. You're adding Matt Tice to the lineup, and you're replacing what was Jonathan Lucroy with either Kevin Smith or I can't think of the other catcher, but he strikes out a lot.
Garneau?
No, they got rid of Garneau.
Lucroy?
No.
I don't know.
Yeah. Kevin Smith doesn't strike out a lot, but their backup catcher does. So the point just being that there are some. It's still a good lineup, but there are still some more strikeouts than there have been for a lot of the year. But a lot will come down to what, as far as Desclafani goes, it'll come down to what the Angels lineup actually looks like. If they load up on righties, then it becomes more appealing for Desclafani.
All right, this is the part that's impressive with Suarez. He is 21. He has pitched in the minors for 5 years.
Wow.
That's pretty good. Now, to be fair, his rookie year, 2015, he was 17 years old. He pitched a few innings in the Arizona Fall League, and then he pitched in the Dominican Summer League. So, okay, that's a lot of younger players there. But then from 18 on, he's been in rookie league or high A ball. Didn't really get to AAA until last season. 78 innings there, had an 8.4 strikeout rate per 9. This year he clocked 32 innings before getting called up again with Salt Lake, the Salt Lake Bees. 8.6 strikeout total again. So his strikeout totals have gone down, but remember he's super duper young, and he was playing at those lowest levels of the minor league. So it's hard to see what his trajectory is going to be in the major. So I guess there is. Long way of me saying is, I guess there's room for upside. I had been disappointed with some of his outings here and had sort of written him off, but considering his age and what he had sort of shown glimpses of, I guess we can't write him off just yet. But I did want to call that out, Adam. All right. Do you have a starting pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays?
Ryan Yarbrough.
Okay.
Maybe. That's according to FanGraphs.
Yeah, I'm seeing blank, and you have FanGraphs with Yarbrough. DK has Yarbrough. So it looks like it's going to be Yarbrough and Thornton. Who was it? Was it? Oh, I'm blanking. Tampa Bay just lost one of their...
Ryan Stanek.
Yes. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But Yarbrough has been adequate. This is a good matchup for him. He is 7,800. This will be the fourth time that Toronto has seen him. He's got 11 innings against them in those previous outings, but the last one came 2 weeks ago on the July 28th. He went 5 1/3 innings, 61 pitches, allowed 1 earned run. Looks like he should be good for, let's just call it 70 to 75 pitches. At 7,800 against Toronto, would you entertain having him on any teams?
Probably not. It's just tough for him at that price tag to really pay it off. He's unlikely to throw more than 80 pitches or something like that. Not a high strikeout guy, 20% for the season. And Toronto's lineup does have plenty of talent now that they've called up Bichette and Biggio and Herrera's obviously been up for a while now. It's a good part, but the price tag's a little more expensive than I would like.
All right. On the other side, we got that cheap price tag, and at the end here, we'll do. I've got some good feedback with yesterday's solo show. We'll do some level setting and talk about Yahoo and FanDuel specific pricing there at the end. But just to get your foundational look of the different pitchers, it's a little easier to do it just on the DK with the two birds with one stone, two pitcher site lens. Thornton here, 5,400. Pretty much everything you just said about Yarbrough you can say about Thornton, except he probably won't pitch quite as... he'll probably still go about 75 pitches, it looks like. He's been up and down. This will be the third time that he has faced Tampa Bay. Let's see, the last time... They have not seen him in 2 months, so that no recent track record against him. But he's one of those guys that's an adequate pitcher. I'd rather have him than Eric Fede on my team. Yeah. But that's really about it. The 102 strikeouts in 105 innings is nice. The 16 home runs in 105 innings, not nice. And then he's got a very, very high base runners, 1.5 per inning. But I guess if he gets lucky with the balls in play, he could have a decent outing. But Tampa Bay's got some good hitters now.
Yeah, they do, and he's been worse against lefties than righties, as you would expect. Against righties, he actually has a pretty solid 13.3% swinging strike percentage. Against lefties, it's 8.8%. He's allowed a 223 ISO to lefties, 135 to righties. It is a really favorable park. Tampa Bay's projected lineup has 4 lefties in it. It's a nice price tag at $5,400 on DraftKings, and then on Yahoo, he's $25, so the absolute minimum. I can certainly see getting there. Like, he's no worse than Andrew Cashner is. He's not worse than Stephen Brault. So I can see getting there. He's fully stretched out. He threw 87 pitches his last time out, which was his first start back from the injured list. So, no reason that he should be pulled early or anything in this game. Just not a super appealing matchup.
All right, on to that's kind of describing about the bulk of what we've talked about so far.
Yeah, no real ringing endorsements here, but it's just a slate where it goes back, and we talk about how if you're really looking to make money in large field tournaments, you should be playing 150 lineups. And I think that, looking at the slate right now, roster construction wise, you're going to want a cheap SP2 because there are so many to pick from, but nailing down which one is going to be the guy is really tough because they all have massive flaws.
Yeah, exactly. We got 2 more pitchers here, one decent, one smoke and mirrors. Decent one, Zack Wheeler. He is carrying a $10,600 price tag, but he does get to go against the Marlins. This will be the second time he has faced them this season. He has got 11 strikeouts against them in 7 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, 1 walk to 10 hits. Not good to see, but the 11 strikeouts can erase some of the mistakes. He's been adequate on the season, but we are paying top dollar based on this matchup. Or let me rephrase that. The matchup is inflating his price to where not a lot of profit yield, because the problem is there's so many pitchers out there that aren't expensive. They're not all going to do bad. We just need to pick some that aren't going to do bad and hope that Wheeler doesn't do great for his price point. So it's a weird way to think about things, but that's what sort of Adam was alluding to with regards to playing a lot of lineups. You can do the construction in a variety of ways. We have Jordan Yamamoto, who will be facing the Mets for the first time. Adam, you've talked many times about how the heck is he getting strikeouts at the major leagues, but he has 49 strikeouts in 48 innings on the strength of 8 against Minnesota of all teams through 6 innings. So that got him back up over the 1 strikeout per inning. He's our smoke and mirror guys. What do you want to do with this duo?
Certainly interested in Zack Wheeler. Really favorable matchup against Miami. He goes deep into games. He's a good pitcher. He has a 24.1% strikeout percentage, 3.81 xFIP for the season. I think that he's certainly in contention as a cash game SP1. On the other side for Yamamoto, a pretty tough matchup against the Mets, but it is worth pointing out that Jeff McNeil left Monday's game with an injury, so he may not be in the lineup. If that's the case, you're losing one of their better hitters. But still you'll have Conforto, Alonso, Ramos that are all good hitters, and then some decent bats with Frazier and JD Davis. But the Mets lineup will certainly play a role here in my interest in Yamamoto. I don't buy into him long term. I don't think that he can sustain what he's doing in the major leagues. The walk percentage is at 11.3%, which is more or less in line with what I expected based on his minor league numbers. But he's still striking out 25% of hitters compared to 23.7% at Double-A. That's just not something that you expect to continue. He does get a lot of infield fly balls, but not enough to where I think that his results are sustainable, just based on that. Like Marco Estrada type guy. I'm just not really impressed. I don't buy into him. He's relatively inexpensive, but it is a negative park shift going into Citi Field, and the Mets do have a pretty decent lineup.
All right, good. That was one I just wanted to get a little more information out there for the peoples, just because Yamamoto's been putting up decent numbers, and it's scary. It's kind of scary there. Moving along, that's through our 7 o'clock games. Yikes, that's a lot of 7 o'clock games. To our first 8 o'clock game here, we have Oakland in Chicago going against the Cubbies. So no designated hitter means no Chris Davis in the starting lineup. You have Jon Lester at 8,200. Brett, I strike out a half a batter per inning whether I want to or not. Anderson at 5,900. No thank you to Anderson for me. I am a little bit interested in Lester just because of his price and where the slate has taken us. It's going to be 80 degrees in Chicago. Looks like a 6 to 9 mile an hour wind blowing in from center field. It's going to be relatively humid at 60%. It does not look like any issues for precipitation. Jon Lester, lefty, going against a team that can get very, very righty. How do you feel about that?
Not really interested in the pitching here. I could see, possibly getting some Lester in tournaments just as a differentiation play, but right-handed heavy lineup that doesn't strike out a lot from Oakland. Against righties this year, Lester has a 23.4% strikeout percentage, 178 expected ISO. So he has improved. He's back to putting up numbers like he did, a couple of years ago. But it's still just a tough matchup against Oakland. And then on the other side for Brett Anderson, just zero strikeout stuff and going up against a good Cubs team.
Yeah, that is going to, with good reason, probably have people on the Cubs. So take a look at the popularity. Of course, you can get that if you have the Osmo Premium subscription. You can get that every day for all the slates. Promo code EARLYBIRD, all one word, gets you 50% off any 1 month package. Continuing to our next game, this is the 8-10. It's Atlanta. It's the Twins. Jose Berrios going against Michael Oltanevitz. I, once again, do not want either part of either side here. Berrios too expensive. Atlanta too solid. Fultonevich, 6,400, but he's going against a team that can put some power hitters out there, which is not really going to help him. Doesn't matter if they're coming from right side or left side of the plate. Makes me nervous. He is 6,400, but there are guys I would rather have. It's going to be 83 degrees, 50% humidity, no chance of precipitation here for Minnesota. Feels like a cross-off game for me. Maybe a Twins as a 3-man or a contrarian stack. Adam, how do you feel about this game in general?
Fultonevich does have the third highest strikeout percentage on the slate, second highest strikeout percentage on the slate behind German Marquez. So that's kind of interesting. It's a brutal matchup against Minnesota, though. It's in Minnesota, so they have the designated hitter, Nelson Cruz. Not a lot of strikeouts in the lineup, tons of power. Fulte has not been great overall this season. What? Hang on, I think I have. Yeah, I have 2018 stats up, so he has not had the third highest strikeout percentage on the slate.
Thank you. I was like, how the hell did I not notice that?
I looked at it. I was like, man, why has he been in AAA even though he's been great? All right, so I take that back. Fultonevich has been bad this year, like I thought. 19.2% strikeout percentage. In the majors, at AAA, it wasn't anything special either. So, yeah, I'm going to go back and just not be interested in Fultonevich.
All right, and that's relatively a reasonable take on this one. Lineups can vary, but that is a tough one to go with. Our next game, now it gets interesting. German Marquez going against the Houston Astros. This one is in Houston, so Marquez will not be in Coors Field, but he will be facing a designated hitter with the team that has variety players that can hit. So that is a negative for him. On the other side, the Rockies will be taking on an old familiar friend. It's Zack Greinke. Adam, Greinke making, I believe this is his first start for Houston. Or is it his second? No, this is his first start for Houston, I believe. So what do we got here? Two solid pitchers, 9,300 for Marquez on DK, 98 for Greinke. Greinke staring down a 3.5 implied run total for the Rockies, so I think we're going to like Greinke. But talk about Greinke, talk about the difference between his fastball and his changeup, talk about his lack of strikeout stuff, but he is a survivor, damn it.
Yeah, he's still a good pitcher. I'm curious to see what, if anything, changes with him going to the Astros. So much is made about what the Astros do to improve their pitchers. I'm not sure that. I think Greinke's just kind of a finished product. I don't know that there's a whole lot the Astros can do to make him better, but he's already good. 24% strikeout percentage, 3.7% walk percentage, 3.7 xFIP. Just a good pitcher. Favorable spot here against Colorado, who right now has a 3.5 implied run total. Just a affordable price tag on Greinke. I think that he's one of the better pitching options.
All right, and then German Marquez, there will be victory laps on Twitter regardless of the outcome of this game. What is your assessment of his probability of doing well in this outing?
Just a really difficult matchup. He still has really good stuff, no question about it, but it just feels unnecessary when we're not getting a price discount on him facing a team that doesn't strike out and has tons of really good hitters in Houston. I would just rather find the money for Greinke or Wheeler or get out of the price range.
Yeah, it feels like a more realistic price tag where it would be a decision point would be about 8,100 on DK.
Right. Exactly.
Anything lower than that, it'd be pretty easy. Anything higher, it's like, I don't think I can quite get there with this many teams on the docket. On to our next one here. We've got Philadelphia continuing their series in Arizona. Roof will be closed for this homestand. Jake Arrieta, 6,200. We like the 6,200. We like the fact that the humidor is going to be in effect. He's going against former Mariner, former Cincinnati Red, Mike Leake, who is one of the league leaders in home runs. Gives him up to righties, so consider Rhys Hoskins strongly. Maybe give him a little bit of a boost. This one is intriguing, though. Let's see, 4.4 implied run total for Philly, 4.7 for Arizona. God, if Leake was like 7,700, I think it'd be better. But 8,400, all we need is one cheap hitter, and we can get there. And San Francisco's got a bunch of them. We'll get that game in a minute. On the other side, Arrieta at 6,200 feels good until you realize he's probably going to be real popular, and that's never a good feeling in and of itself. So you want to play both sides of it, particularly the lefties going against Arrieta with Peralta, Escobar, and Marte as the switch hitters, and then Jake Lamb. Heck, you can even go with Alex Avila. Feels like we're playing all sides of this game, Adam, even on the main slate, not just a late slate special.
Yeah, Leake is just more expensive than I would like. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Comes into the start with a 17.4% strikeout percentage. He gives up a lot of home runs, like you said. He doesn't walk guys though, which is nice. 3.3% walk percentage, 4.41 xFIP. He's okay. I just don't really want to pay for him. And then on the other side with Arrieta, I think it's really interesting because we know that he's pitching through bone spurs in his elbow. He was pulled after 71 pitches and 4 innings in his last start. Said that they were acting up. So I think that there's risk with him just being pulled early from games going forward, which, obviously when you combine that with him striking out 18% of hitters and just being a pretty mediocre pitcher against a Diamondbacks team that doesn't have a lot of strikeouts in their lineup, it's just, another pitcher with tons of red flags on the slate.
Thank you. That is a good call out. Since 4th of July, he has gone, this is Arrieta, 75, 88, 87, 79, and 71 pitches. So not quite the slam dunk I had envisioned in my head where I was thinking 95 pitches. That does not look to be on the table. So good call out there, Adam. I'm still interested in 6,200, just not as excited. Makes me really like the lefties on Arizona even more. Let's see, what do we got? A couple more games to go. We've got Washington in San Francisco. Anibal Sanchez, nice. Anibal Sanchez at 8,000, perhaps not. And then Connor Menez. I am not familiar with him, but he is coming up from AAA Sacramento. He is with the River Cats. This will be his second appearance. He did pitch against the Mets on July 21st. He gave up 2 home runs, did get 6 strikeouts against the Mets, and he ended up with 16 DK points. Gosh, if he could do something like that again, I wouldn't hate it. Those 2 solo shots were his only runs. Allowed 3 total hits, 2 walks, but 7,200, Adam. 5,000, we have a whole different story. 7,200, I'm not feeling it. What does his minor league track record say?
His minor league numbers this year are really good.
Okay.
At AA, a 29.9% strikeout percentage, 33.9% at AAA. Walks were a bit of an issue, 8.6% at AA, 11.3 at AAA, 3.14 FIP at AA, 4.5 at AAA. The ballpark obviously is great. It's favorable weather for pitching. The price tag for that kind of strikeout stuff isn't too expensive. The issue, though, is that when you look at the Nats lineup, Turner, Eaton, Rendon, Soto, all low strikeout guys. Kurt Suzuki, if he's in the lineup, is a low strikeout guy. It's not the most appealing strikeout matchup. Howie Kendrick being injured does weaken the lineup a bit, but just a good park, but really mediocre matchup for Menez.
Right. And then Anibal Sanchez, I guess reasonable. Doesn't really flash a ton of upside. I guess safety would be more of the operative word, and we'll talk about his prices on the other side. He's got a 3.8 earned run ERA on the season. 1.34 whip, 93 strikeouts in his 106 innings. He has allowed 15 home runs, so it's all just points to a lot of mediocre, but fantastic ballpark, decent matchup against a team that should not kick his ass. But what are the odds he gets to 20 DK points? He's only reached that figure three times in his last 10 starts, and he's got a couple single-digit performances in there. Another tough one, Adam. It's a whole lot of meh on this slate.
Yep. Not a lot of strikeouts in the Giants lineup. Not a lot of strikeouts in Anibal Sanchez's arm. But you also have to roster pitching. Like, I still think that most likely I'll just end up with a lot of lineups that have either Greinke or Wheeler or Kershaw or whoever from the top, and then some combination of those like 6K arms, instead of going to what I think are a little bit overpriced guys like Sanchez and Jon Lester in the 8K range.
All right, 2 games to go, our pair of 10 o'clock games. We have the aforementioned Clayton Kershaw, Adam, and he is facing, say it with me, Nicholas. I love when he starts and we do a show together. Makes my day. We're not going to play Miles Nicholas against the Dodgers. Just too many lefties. He is $7,000. That would be a 2-game late slate only, where we've got to play 2 of the 4 pitchers. However, Clayton Kershaw, you did mention and I've said it, this will be like the 9th time, he is not Clayton effing Kershaw anymore, but he is Clayton really good pitcher Kershaw. He is just $11,800. That is a tough price to pay, Adam. But as we've gone through all but 2 of our pitchers here, if you're looking for safety, that is going to be the premium you're going to be asked to fork over. Talk to us about Kershaw going against this righty-heavy lineup of the Redbirds.
From a price standpoint, like you said, it's not super appealing. Like, I think that Wheeler will grade out as a better point per dollar option. I think that Greinke will grade out as a better point per dollar option. But he is a good pitcher still. He has a 25% strikeout percentage this season. He only walks 5.5% of hitters, 3.55 xFIP. If you have a lineup, if you have a cheap stack or something like that, you can afford him, then, by all means, play Kershaw. But I just don't think that his salary is really that favorable. He's a little bit easier on Yahoo. He's $52. Greinke's $49, but Wheeler's only $43. So even there, it's pretty hard to justify the price difference between Kershaw and Wheeler.
All right, final game of the night, and then we'll quickly look at pricing on the other sites. This is going to be Dinelson Lamet up in Seattle taking on the Mariners. He is $8,500. He is not really been that overly impressive this season. We were hoping for more. Again, he's coming off injury. So, give him a chance to get back into form, but a 5.1 ERA, 1.4 whip, not great. The 30 strikeouts in 23 innings shows promise. The 9 walks is a bit concerning, and the 4 home runs is not great, but he's in play there on the late slate. The other side, we have Wade LeBlanc going for the Mariners. It remains to be seen if they're going to put one of their guys in front of him as an opener. But regardless of what they do, he's still going to have to face a ton of righties from the pod squad. Of course, they've traded Franmil Reyes, so they don't have quite all of the righty power that they did 2 weeks ago. Still not a great matchup, but he's $5,600. This one is in Seattle. Let me see here. The temperature is going to be, it's still warm in Seattle. It's going to be 80 at first pitch, which is warm for Seattle. And it looks like there is a 5.1 implied run total for the pod squad. What do you want to do in our final game of the night?
I'm interested in Lamet. The Mariners' active roster has the highest strikeout percentage against right-handed pitching this season. There's just a ton of strikeouts in this lineup. It's not a terrible park to pitch in. Lamet does have good strikeout stuff. He's got plenty of flaws, but 29.1% strikeout percentage is up there with anyone else on the slate. So I do have interest in him. He's unlikely to go super deep into the game. He hasn't thrown more than 90 pitches yet this season. So he actually hasn't thrown more than 88 pitches. So unlikely to give you a really deep outing, but he does have good strikeout stuff, and the price tag is reasonable. Like, I think there's more upside for Lamet at $8,500 than for Lester at $82 or for Sanchez at $8K. For Wade LeBlanc, really difficult matchup. The Padres' active roster does have an elevated 23.8% strikeout percentage against lefties, but they also have a 199 ISO, 336 WOBA, 108 WRC+. So, like you said, lots of right-handed power there, and LeBlanc's not a particularly good pitcher.
All right, let's quickly look at FanDuel and Yahoo for some of our pricing thoughts. I'm on FanDuel, Adam. I'm going to kind of go up from the bottom, just throw out a few names that are sort of interesting. Jose Suarez at 5,700 on FanDuel. You can get all the bats you want, no Coors Field, no Texas, but this is still an intriguing price point, I think, for him.
Yeah, really favorable price point. The negative for him on FanDuel is just that you get the quality start bonus, and he doesn't go particularly deep in the games. So there's a good chance that he kind of leaves you hanging there. Like I think I would rather get the 6,500 Lamet.
Okay, that was kind of the next name I was looking at. There was Lamet at 6,500. It's really empty. I don't think even you would consider Asher Wojciechowski at 7,200. We've got Zach Plesac at 7,500. Not the worst way to go, but not overly exciting. You really need that quality start bonus. Anibal Sanchez probably not going to get you that quality start bonus, but he's 7,700. And then all of a sudden we're up to Zack Greinke at 97. I like that. Zack Wheeler at 10.7, getting a little spendy, and then Kershaw at 11.3. Looking at those three guys, again, Kershaw 11.3, Wheeler 10.7, and Greinke 9,700. If you were going to rank those three for FanDuel, what would you go with?
So Kershaw 11.3, Greinke 9,700, and Wheeler 10.7. Probably just inverse of pricing.
Okay. All right, and then let's take a peek over here at Yahoo. Oh, it's Yonny Chirinos. That was the guy that had also gotten hurt that I was thinking of. He hurt his finger, so he may not pitch for up to a month. They said he might be able, if they make the playoffs, to come back. Looking at Yahoo going all the way down to the bottom, we've got, here's our super cheapies. Drew Verhagen at 25, Ariel Hirado at 25. Yeah, not really. Trent Thornton at 25, maybe. Jose Suarez at 26. Okay. Jake Arrieta at 28. All right. Second pitcher, not the worst. Mike Fultonevich at 28, potentially. Herman Marquez at 33 and Dinelson Lamet at 34. Do those guys pop at all for you?
Yeah. Also, Connor Menez is 25, so he's the absolute minimum as well.
Oh, I missed him. Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that you can really go. Menez in that park at 25 is a good value. 26 for Suarez is a good value. Tough park, obviously. Even 25 for Verhagen, I think, is okay. I think that just going really cheap there makes sense, and I think that like Zack Wheeler stands out as just the clear top pitching option. Marquez's price tag is pretty appealing as well.
All right, and then at the top you've got Kershaw 52, Greinke 49, Wheeler 43. Clearly Wheeler standing out, and I'd probably go to Kershaw over Greinke myself.
Yeah. Really close in price between Greinke and Kershaw, so I would lean Kershaw.
Yeah, and then you can start to look at the popularity. Once it gets 2-1, 3-1 Kershaw, that is when it's time to go to Greinke. All right, with that, you got a thorough look at everything. You can follow Adam over there on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EMACDFS, and of course, it is Osmo_COM. Go check out the pinned tweet over there on the Osmo Twitter handle. You have a chance to win 3 free months of premium Osmo content. All you got to do, follow the instructions, whatever the little contest is. Generally, they ask you for an answer to the question. They ask you to follow one of the other Osmo Twitter accounts and retweet it. Pretty easy, probably take you about 15 seconds, and you'll be entered in a drawing where we are giving away 3 different packages that are 3 months of premium access. With that, gamers, good luck.